Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
With the Venmo debit card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
This is the way it feels to move through summer in Lululemon. Iconic Align softness without the front seam. For our smoothest look and feel ever. Summer won't know what hit it. Stretch your limits in the non-stop flexibility of the new Lululemon Align No-Line Pant in select stores and at Lululemon.com.
The McDonald's snack wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch snack wrap. Spicy snack wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks. Smooth, bright, deliciously crafted. Introducing Starbucks Sansera Blend, their smoothest, brightest coffee yet. It's a new kind of light roast, one that's packed with so much flavor, it shines no matter how you brew it. So go ahead and try it hot, iced, black, or with a splash of creamer. Visit athome.starbucks.com/Sansera-blend-coffee to bring Starbucks Sansera Blend home.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Hey, this is Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast, here to help you make the most of your summer with Michelob Ultra. a superior light beer worth playing for. Play for it with the guys when you're competing to see who can sink more birdies on the golf course, because winning tastes even better with Ultra on the line. Play for Ultra. Fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Today's top story, the flavor merger of the century between the Peanut Butter Group and Chocolatey Corp. Joining me is a PBC executive.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Now, how did you know the merger and the byproduct of it, Jif peanut butter and chocolate flavored spread, would be a success?
You know, it was a gut feeling, a rumbling, if you will. Besides, they're two titans of taste.
Very true. Goes great with pretzels.
And pancakes.
Apples too, I bet. Try Jif PBC today.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled parental leave for full and part-time baristas, giving them up to 18 weeks of paid time off, so they can be there for early bedtimes, late nights, first laughs, and spend more time with the best company they know. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start. Learn more about Starbucks industry-leading benefits at starbucks.com/partners.
This episode is brought to you by Buick. Buick certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Buick, exceptional by design. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit buick.com/service to learn more.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask kindergarten teacher Miss Gibson.
Give me just one Clorox wipe and I'm ready for glitter glue, exploded lunchbox yogurt, peanut butter handprints, runny noses, picking noses, rubbing noses.
Touching noses.
Thank you, Edward. Ooh, nap mats and lockers and tissue boxes. And
Clorox
scissors.
disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe. Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Kavita Singh Gilchrist and Raphael Williams, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to be with both of you. You're joining me from New York. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about empowering resilience and nurturing motivation and self-care amid DEI challenges. Really, really important topic right now. I think it's always important. These last several years in particular have been volatile, and this dialogue has been increasingly challenging, I suppose, but particularly at this very moment in time, the social and political context is challenging, shall we say, to say the least. And we need to continue to have these conversations, even though, it's probably more politically charged, than it's ever been, to try to have these kind of conversations, which, by the way, I find incredibly sad, because in my mind, there's nothing about any of this that should be politically charged. I feel like this conversation is about human dignity, treating people with respect. I think everyone wants to feel valued. Everyone wants to feel needed, wanted, having the opportunity to contribute in meaningful ways. I think we all want that. And I think for the most part, we all want that for each other. But for some reason, we get caught up in culture wars and the rhetoric and all this stuff. And so then DEI gets vilified, and then we start to have corporations doing this and that and the other with their programs and boycotts and political parties and all of this stuff, right? And it just becomes this big mess. And so that's where we are at this very moment in time. And amidst that, you do all of your great work. And so I applaud you for what you continue to do, given the messy context. As we get started, and before we start this really fun conversation, I wanted to share bios with the audience. Raphael Williams serves as Senior A&D Manager for Allsteel, a leading innovator in workplace furnishings and architecture product solutions. He also serves as Equity Council co-chair for the International Interior Design Association's New York chapter. He aspires to educate and inform the architecture and design community on various justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives, such as Equity Council's JEDI Action Lab series. Kavita Singh Gilchrist is co-founder and managing partner of Racial Equity Partners, a national consulting practice that has helped 30-plus organizations build skills and pathways to advance racial equity, diversity, and inclusion. Before REP, she spent 20 years designing programs with education and community-based nonprofits, working to help people navigate inequitable systems by shaping inclusive services that benefit all people and positively impact their life outcomes. Kavita is also founder and director of Made for Me Books and lives in Harlem with her family. Again,
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Pleasure to have both of you with me today. Before we launch on into the conversation, is there anything either of you would like to share by way of background, personal context?
Just that, Racial Equity Partners has been around doing this work for the last 5 years during a time where it feels really oppressed, because it's coming from our own government in so many ways. Yeah. And it's a tough slog, and yet resistance has always been there. Raphael and I, we've talked about that a lot through the work that we do together with the Equity Council. The resistance has always been there. It takes different shapes and forms. It often feels for some people like it's new. So while we may need some new strategies given where it's coming from, right, it is different. It's certainly different. Resistance has always been there. And so this work has, maybe it hasn't been as vilified and as blatantly kind of oppressed as it is being right now. And yet we persist. And we're excited to have this conversation, particularly around self-care, because for those of us who need to continue to advocate and will persist and continue to advocate, we need to make sure we're caring for ourselves and caring for each other in community together. So we're really excited that you wanted to have this conversation today.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Interestingly enough, the Equity Council was founded in 2020, probably around the same time that Racial Equity Partners was developed. And we, the founding members of Equity Council, connected with Kavita and her team to help us imagine what racial equity and partnership meant within IIDA. And so when we think about the work that we're doing, we're really centering around creating just and equitable workspaces in the design industry. And you started the conversation, Dr. Westover, around talking about being vilified. As creatives, as designers, when we think about space, we look at it through the lens of if we do something exceptional for the whole, the greater good, those singled out communities that we're focusing on now will also benefit. So just thinking about the best practice is just to do something exceptional for everybody, then we really would need to be having these conversations because good design is good as great design, And so doing the next right thing is we hope inherent in everyone's DNA, but apparently doing the next right thing is not what next equitable right thing is not what everyone wants to focus on. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation so that we can get to as many voices and people around the country. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. and I'll just be open. My audience knows I'm a straight cisgender white dude. I have all the layers of privilege. But I want to be an ally. I want to be an advocate for this work. And I recognize that that despite the layers of privilege that I may have, that if one person or one group is marginalized or oppressed, that it does hurt everybody, even privileged people. And when we help one group, we lift everybody. Like a rising tide lifts all ships. And
Absolutely.
To your point, like great design helps everything, helps everyone. Great equitable systems help everyone. And that's the part of this conversation when it gets, culture war politicized. That's the part that gets lost. Like I think people start to think, that somehow if you're creating more just and equitable systems, somehow you're taking away from traditionally privileged groups, and that's just not the case. I don't like if I step back and look at it, I'm like, I don't feel threatened because other groups are going to be given more equitable access. But I know other straight cisgender white dudes feel threatened, and that's part of the problem. But I think a lot of it is the rhetoric around it, not the reality. It's just the rhetoric, and so we need to like break through the rhetoric, and the politicalization of it, and the culture wars, so that we can get to actual functional, productive dialogue. So we can move towards something that actually truly will benefit everybody. Like I will be better off if all of you and everyone, all groups are better off. I will have a more enjoyable life, higher level standard of living. I will have greater opportunity if everyone around me has greater opportunity. That's just a fact. And so it's sad, when I see others that just have this, like, I guess it's a fixed pie mentality, that they just think that they have to capture as much, of the pie as possible. And that means others have to have, as little as possible.
Yeah, there's that's right, John. It's sad and it's painful to hear because we have these, like, it's not as if this is a new discussion. It isn't pie. The world isn't like that. As if there's only a certain amount of seats or a certain amount of resources to go around. We live in the United States of America. There are plenty of resources here. We know it's about will and to get those resources to where they need. I think the best example that actually kind of connects, the design conversation to the equity conversation is the accessibility movement, right? And you've probably seen articles about this where they talk about the curb cut. And when the curb cut was invented to, create a cut in the curb so that someone who moves with a wheelchair could properly navigate the streets, it ended up becoming a useful design that helped all kinds of folks navigate the streets better. So people who have strollers, people with their bikes, anything with wheels, right? It ended up creating it. So it was designed for a group that wasn't able to navigate the streets equitably, right? And so while the design was targeted, it ended up being for the greater good, right? And so everyone ends up using that curb cut. So it's like one of the best examples of trying to explain you try to use analogies and parallels to folks, the naysayers, to say what is it that to try to give them, a better understanding of why this is. The other thing is when someone says I'm anti-DEI or whatever words they choose to put in there, asking them, just kind of putting it back in their lap to say, well, let's talk about, what you are you against diversity? Diversity means, and then, sharing, it's race, it's gender, it's ethnicity, it's life experience, it's educational background, all these things, right? You're against having all of these different kinds, and trying to get them into a conversation to really break down, because we know it's an acronym that has a lot in it. It's not one thing. Because to your point, there's a lot of rhetoric, and I think there's just a lot of, negative actors that have taken such positive work. And to your point, it feels like things are being taken away. Well, we're so far away. We've just, every decade we make some gains and then they get pulled back. If we were anywhere close to taking over in terms of people of color taking over, I would have no work to do, right? I mean, we are going into places that are continue to be mostly white spaces, majority,
Right.
let's say not mostly, but majority, right? And that's the thing. What's going on? What are the solutions that we create? And you de-bias the hiring process. That's what we do. We go in and we help organizations learn how to de-bias the process of interviewing and recruitment and things like that. So everyone has fair access. Everyone gets the same questions, right? Not just the person of color that we're hoping to increase the number of. It's a hope, but ultimately the practices are very equitable and supposed to fairly treat everyone.
Yeah, I love that you referenced the curve cut effect, because when we think about inclusive design, that we always feature that secondary effect of like all the work that people, all the different types of people that have benefited from that small tweak that was targeted for one audience. And with that, if we think about how we educate the masses so that we can sort of overcome that but so that we can effectively overcome this myth and disinformation that people are hearing about what the benefits are for the certain things that we do to help uplift certain communities, and that they better understand that those things can and oftentimes will always assist them in their path forward. We as a whole would be so much better off. I think that as we think about all the work that we're doing and all the negative energy that keeps coming our way, we get into this constant headspace of, oh my God, what am I going to do next? What do I do? What do I do next? And how am I going to do it next? And then from a spatial standpoint, we love that we can create spaces that help you sort of disconnect from all that, all those anxieties. Because we're supporting in design, people with different physical abilities, different with mental abilities, that neurodiverse population, to those that population that might be activated by some form of trauma that gets activated as they're entering a space. So this work is really magical on so many levels, because it really thinks about the whole of the well-being conversation for people. And so as we think about this diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging conversation, it should not be so difficult to think that what we are suggesting is something that will benefit you as a straight white man, me as a gay Black man who has a white husband. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's all of that. It's just so depressing that we are in this space because of I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, from a select group of insecure people.
Right.
And I'll hit pause.
Yeah. Well, what's the quote is like, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. So
Yes.
John, you said at the beginning, you don't get it. I don't get it either. Ref doesn't get it. Like, what is it that you feel is being taken away? And so we do need more allies like yourself, John, who can have the conversations, because sometimes a person of color's voice is not as perceived as valuable. And so the more we can focus, we talk a lot about allyship with the Equity Council and in our sessions, and how, often we'll go into an organization and And perhaps a leader that we're working with is trying to figure out how to like get a work group together, their diversity and inclusion work group, and they'll look to the staff of color to kind of help lead the way. But they're kind of conflating creating a space for people to feel psychologically safe and able to access, and yet they have to do all the work too. So there's something in the middle of needing more allies. And then often white folks will be like, oh, that's not my space because I don't want to take space. So kind of helping folks navigate that is what we do and what the council does, where it's like, we need everybody. We need everybody. And if anything, these groups are not trying to be exclusive. They're actually trying to be inclusive spaces where you can have those challenging conversations.
Yeah, yeah. And you started to touch on really where I want to take the rest of this conversation around self-care. I have to admit, so I was mentioning in the pre-interview, we were just chatting, you're in New York. I imagine these conversations are difficult anywhere. And New York's a fairly progressive state. You're a blue state. I'm in a very red state. I'm in one of the reddest of red states. And these conversations are, DEI is completely under attack. Higher education is under attack. Like we're one of those states where this is it's like almost full on war over these topics. And it's kind of nuts. And so I have to admit, like, I feel like daily, I feel the weight, the burden, the exhaustion of it. And I figure if I feel that, as a white guy, how do others feel? Like how do people from these other marginalized groups and populations feel who live here? It's got to be just overwhelming for them. And so anyone trying to, resist, to push back, to just create space for healthy conversations, it does become a real challenge to maintain just positive energy, and the self-care piece becomes more important than ever. So maybe you can talk to us about like what you suggest as you go into organizations, so that people can make sure that they're doing things in a sustainable way. Because the last thing we want is for people, really well-intentioned people, to just like burn themselves out and then all of a sudden, throw their hands in the air. I'm beating my head against the brick wall. I can't do it anymore. And then you lose your people, you lose your allies, you lose your the people that are trying to make the effort to make change.
The exciting thing about this work is that ultimately it's really rewarding. So getting involved with JEDI work for me was always something that I thought and felt deep in my soul was going to be something that I really wanted to be a part of, which is why I'm the co-chair, of the Equity Council. But one of the things that I started prioritizing for myself, especially coming into 2025, was self-care as a strategy. Because if I'm not fully present and if I can't stay centered, then there's a problem. There's a problem with my motivations. There's a problem with the way that I execute the work that I know that I need to do. So I really like to hone in on like 5 key things. The key thing for me, I'd like to share with those of us around, especially in the Equity Council. Think about setting boundaries and protecting your energy. If you think about being intentional about that and how you want to engage so that you don't get sucked into the swirl of everything else, I think that's important. Also having a really strong support team, ultimately who you surround yourselves with, allies and mentors, however you want to build that support group, it's going to be important for you to stay in your lane and in your center. Also thinking about practicing restorative reflection. I think that's really one of those key things where we really want to take time to process the emotions that we're going through and the different kinds of experiences that we may have had with regard to this type of work. And something that's really important, the 4th thing I like to talk about is like celebrating the small wins. Not everything has to be gigantic. Not everything has to be overly exceptional, but just being able to say, I'm chipping away at this, and this small win is going to keep me moving forward. I love that idea because whatever can help us keep putting one foot in front of the other is what can help keep driving us in a world or in a society where people are always trying to tamp out your flame. And so the final thing I'd like to suggest is like thinking about engaging in joy and then rest, right? I think that's really important. Resistance and change it requires some level of resilience. And so keeping that sense of making space for certain activities and that bring you joy, being able to reinforce your own sense of purpose and allowing yourself to recharge fully. Those are the things that I like to think about when I think about self-care.
How do you prioritize it? I think all five of those are excellent. I totally agree. I think we should be doing those. I have to admit, like I struggle personally with just prioritizing self-care, like prioritizing those types of elements. I have to admit, I like often feel guilty about it. I just like there's so much work to be done. There's so much need. I have so much privilege. Like so many other people have it so good, and so many people have so much need, and like I need to be doing more. And like I constantly I have that kind of running through my head, and it's hard for me to say, okay, no, I'm taking a break. I'm going to step back. I need to pause. How do you quiet that voice in your head enough so that you can actually like recharge? Because on the one hand, I don't want to completely quiet it, right? I want to have that drive. That drive is a good thing, but I recognize that I can't run endlessly. Like I have to rest. I have to recharge.
Kavita, I'll let you interject, but I want to say one of the things that Kavita has like beaten into us, which I love, is like this idea of a suggestion of setting boundaries and protecting your energy. And I think that's where you start, and that's where you have to like it starts and ends there because you have to remember what are my boundaries, what are my boundaries, what are my boundaries, and how is this impacting me? And so I would suggest my first priority is always my center. But I also always want to remember, even though it was like fourth on my list, celebrating the small things, those things, because it will always get overwhelming. But if you can remember one step at a time, it'll keep you in a saner headspace than if you try to just do it all at once and not allow yourself to turn off, if you will.
Yeah, that's so good. It's the celebration and the boundaries. I mean, the fact is, when we look at health outcomes, right? What is the number one leading cause of whatever disease we're going to talk about? It's stress.
Right.
Stress. And John, I am right where you are. I'm like, an Energizer bunny. I go, 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 go. I have a lot of privilege. I don't deserve, and not that I don't deserve it. I guess I don't think that way, but it's like, I've got the capacity, I've got the energy, I'm going to keep going. And yet, when you're doing JEDI work, DEI work, inclusion work, self-care isn't optional, right? It's essential. Yeah. It's essential. And after partnering with all the organizations that we have and watching the council, which is just major plug here, they are all volunteer and they are amazing. So if I go to an event with them, it is self-care because I come home feeling, you find your people, you talk about the important things, we get some solutions to some things, and you're just in community. So just remembering that it's not optional, it's essential, right? Do your boundaries, as Raphael said. Like, it doesn't mean that you can just say not right now. You don't have to say no. It's hard for us to say no when you are a go, go, go person. So you just say not right now. Remember not to always say yes. I think you have to schedule it. I think that I've found that, right? Those things that fall off the list were never scheduled into your calendar. So whether it's the dance class that you've found or the morning meditation, I find that, especially if you are a go-go, you probably have a calendar. So like scheduling really helps, but you have to develop rituals that replenish you. Otherwise, it will always feel like a slog. You have to be in community. I mean, this transformative change is what we're seeking, and it doesn't happen over weeks or even months. It's years. It's a lifelong commitment.
It's the long haul for sure.
For
and
sure.
and you will burn out if you don't recharge, and that's just the reality.
Yeah.
Well, Kavita and Raphael, this has just been a great conversation. I note the time. I'm sure we could go on for forever, but I also need to let you go and get on with your busy days. So before we wrap things up, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, where they can find out more about your work, your teams, the good work that you're doing, and then give us a final word for today.
Ladies first.
Thank you. Well, so my organization, we are continuing to do the good work, even with our volatile name of Racial Equity Partners, we're not changing it. We're sticking to it because we think that if you can really figure out the issues with race and ethnicity and why it's so complicated here, that you can end up figuring out how to just appreciate all identity groups. So we're Racial Equity Partners, www.racialequitypartners.com. We're a consulting practice. I've got a team of about 5 consultants. We're small yet mighty. And we do organizational assessments, right? You can't figure out what your organization needs to do until you take a pulse on where you are. So we help you do assessments. We do lots of trainings. That's what we do with the council. We love doing trainings, give you time to have important conversations, coaching, all kinds of organizational development services. So we'd love to work. And I think my final word would be just, when people understand how their specific actions, like every action you take, however small it is a step forward. And so don't ever think that it's too little. As long as you're doing something, it matters, right? Because however small, it really will contribute to meaningful transformation. and hopefully it helps you just continue to find the energy to persist. Because the work will continue, and we're here to help make sure that it happens.
Love it. Raphael?
Equity Council. I'm Raphael Williams, co-chair of Equity Council, and you can find me or reach out to me if you have any questions about the work that we're doing. We were founded in 2020, as I mentioned, to foster a stronger accountability towards creating more just environments and equitable workplaces. And so we work a lot with architects and designers and their clients to create environments that really celebrate this diversity, equity, and inclusion, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and belonging, all the things in the workplace, because the built environment is really one of the most important things that we talk about. So that, because we're always in one, right? And being able to create spaces that feel like you belong there is really important. You can reach me at Equity Council. That's all one word, Equity Council at IIDA New York, NY, IIDANY.org, and ask me any questions. One of the things that I really want to leave everyone with is like self-care is a foundational element when we think about workplace in the community of equity. And that's not a luxury. It's really a necessity. And so it's going to be important for us to think about how we might take time to prioritize ourselves in self-care, because we know that in that you build this level of resilience, and things get a lot more clear, and your emotional capacity gets a little bit bigger, so that you can keep activated and keep your advocacy for inclusion and diversity and all the inequities that I think we're all experiencing. But it allows us to create and foster a more meaningful change. So burnout is not something that we're looking forward to doing. So take time and prioritize yourself as an important entity to the success of your movement.
Wonderful. Thank you both. This has just been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Kavita and Raphael can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.